Okay, here's my shut-in studio tour. This is not really a studio. There's no room treatments or anything sophisticated going on. It's just a bunch of stuff in a room. That's really my office at home. So this is our guitar corner and bass corner with, oddly enough, various guitars and basses, and banjo front and center, stand-up bass. Always want that banjo handy. So that's that piece. Then we can move over to the modular. So there's the modular. This is a Euro rack modular. Got some weird little touch plate thingies that I made thanks to Kinkus and his Instructables that were actually quite cool. There's two of them there, a big one and a little one. I'll show you those later, what they do. Lots of gratuitous flashing lights that have nothing to do with the sound. And lots of PM Foundation modules because I helped with some of them and because I like them. They're really good price and they're easy to build. More flashing lights that again have nothing to do with the sound. I'm using the clock divider up there, the PM Foundation's one. This is my main sequencer usually. It's a Oberkorn or Eurokorn from Analog Solutions. My main clock is generally PAM's, which is right there. And the quantizer is my main quantizer. That's a PM Foundation's Quantoct. It's a 4-in, 4-out quantizer. And then the main sequence that you're going to hear is actually coming from the Resemble panel, which is our tribute to the Oberheim SEM, which is right here. I actually have two of those. One of them is currently in my performance rack, which Professor Steve currently has, and he's giving it a little evaluation. The rest of the stuff is some T-kicks that we're using for percussion. That thing over there is actually a cable tester. Some LFOs and function generators and noise generators and various things like that. Some more PM Foundation stuff. That's a state machine, the PM Foundation state machine. It's an envelope generator, but it's really quite cool. What else? We get into VCOs. More VCOs. That one right there is actually empty, that panel. I'm currently fixing it. More VCOs, some wave folders. Then we get into our VCFs and a gate. And some slews. There's two slews. Yeah, I mean most of this stuff I actually built from various kits and whatever. A lot of the panels I did myself too. Some of them are a little rougher than others. And then the bottom row we get the MIDI interfaces and envelope generators, VCAs. I actually think I have enough VCAs. And a Barton mixer, that's a dual one that I put together as well. So, and then any other modular would generally be there. That empty spot there is for the performance rack that Steve has. And of course we have an oscilloscope because, we have an oscilloscope. Oddly enough, the oscilloscope is quite handy. You can use it for calibrating VCOs and for testing and things, and if you're ever fixing anything or building anything, they're actually really indispensable. So I think now what we're going to do is, let's start it up by pressing the button. I have a little hi-hatty sort of percussion thing going on. So the keyboards. One keyboard would normally be hooked to the performance rack, and the other one is actually hooked to a lead line that this is playing. So we'll just give it a quick listen to that. But now the interesting thing about the modular, besides all the flashing lights, is just the amount of movement you can get in the sound. It can be subtle, it can be crazy. And that's something I've kind of taken advantage of, but not to a huge extent on the lead sound. Now I wanted you to hear, or at least hear what the panel, or see what the panel does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn up that lead sound a little bit, so it's droning a bit. So it's kind of loud. And again, these things are going to make it to the performance rack, but I just wanted you to see what happens when you hit them. And that's, oh, let's turn that down. I can turn the sequence down a bit too. That's actually going into the FM input of another PM Foundations VCO. You can see it there. So let's move east. We'll move east. So the first thing on the first bit on the east wall is a phenol, Kilpatrick phenol. I actually really like this thing. I considered selling it a couple of times, but it's a really interesting synthesizer. I'm surprised they're not more popular. Right now it's just doing a kind of a East Coast lead line, or sorry, bass line. And I got the little grungy thing by doing some FM modulation on it. So we move up a bit. Let's kind of start at the top. There's an MSQ700 we're not currently using. That actually goes with the Juno 60 and a mini Moog that's upstairs. And the mini Moog is upstairs. And there's also a Prophet, I can't remember which one, newer one. A tenor recorder and a melodica, you never know when you're going to need those. And a couple of mascots. Squirrel, of course, needs nuts, so I wanted to make sure that the squirrel had a nut. So there we go with that. So on the top is an Alpha Juno. That's Alpha Juno 2. That's Stan's, not mine. Just borrowed, in a long-term borrowed. That's a Chord Micro Station. It's another one I'm surprised is not more popular. I really like it, it's quite handy. Under that is a Casio CZ101. And then deep in the shelf there is a Shruti XT that I built, and an MPC 1000 that needs repair. I gotta talk to Jay about that. And then under that is an Oberheim 4 voice that I'm restoring with a lot of help from PM Foundations. So before we get to the Oberheim, let's have a look at one other thing. So I bought myself a laptop. I wanted something large, but I actually didn't realize how big a 17-inch laptop really is until I got it home. So in hindsight, that was probably dumb. It's only for VSTs. I really don't do very much on it except VSTs and sampling. It's running, can't remember what, Cantabile I think it's called, is the VST server, and that's one of the instruments from Full Bucket. You got to check that out, fullbucket.de, very neat. And that is currently hooked up to something I did yesterday, which is literally a keyboard drawer. Like literally a keyboard drawer. So I hooked this up yesterday and it's quite handy. Slide up keyboard with some IKEA door sliders. So this is currently controlling the laptop and the CZ101. It's funny because the keyboard on the CZ101 is really hard to play, but it's about the same size as the keyboard that's on the Korg MicroStation, but the Korg MicroStation is actually not that hard to play. Go figure. So that's a little VST that was on the laptop. And then let me turn this up just a little bit. CZ101 running a stock patch. And together. So let's put that back in again. Okay, let's have a look at the Oberheim. So we've been working on this for almost a year. A year? I think a year. No, 2 years? Actually, I can't even remember now. It was pretty beat up when I got it, but we managed to get three of the SEMs working, keyboards working, the keyboard controllers working. The programmer is not really working. I haven't even started on that yet. The catch is that only 2 of the signals from the keyboard are making it through the programmer to the SEM. So right now, 2 of the SEMs are running as a mono. The other one is actually just running as a drone. So you can hear it. And you can play around with it. Such classic analog. And then the other 2 are just acting as a monophonic voice. Let's turn that drone off, although it does sound nice. And then, so we have the one Shruti in there, and a couple of days ago I whipped up the Shruti shelf, which is actually not that easy to say. So there we have the other 5 Shrutis, most of them in homemade cabinets. Actually, there's the only stock Shruti cabinet I have. And I have probably one more Shruti I'm going to build. So there's the 5 Shrutis. Right now, the Shrutis are actually all hooked to a MIDI PAL, and they're acting as a single polyphonic, 6-voice polyphonic synth, which we're going to hear shortly. Okay, so now we move to the north wall. North wall. So here we have a standard 88 Rhodes. The Rhodes is running stage Rhodes. I've had this since 1975. I bought it new. My mother actually bought it new for me when I joined my first rock band. This has currently running through a Maxon phase shifter, Maxon chorus. It needs a new preamp pretty badly. It sort of distorts every now and again, but we can at least give a listen to it. then the Kurzweil, which is a K2600XS, is just doing a little guitar thingy at the moment, a sampled guitar. And then let's get up to the Numa Compact. So that's a Studio Logic Numa Compact 2X. It's running right now. I think it's just playing an organ, or it will be in a minute. And it's hooked to a stereo distortion that Jacob made for me. So we can give it a little listen to that too. And then the Roland. So this Roland A90, again, when I got it, within a fairly short while, I ended up having to replace all the keyways, which is fairly common in these things. The plastic around them breaks and they just start to fall apart. So this thing is currently, there's 4 MIDI outputs on it. So it's currently controlling all the Shrutis, the Roland Alpha, the Korg microstation, and an iPad that's running, sorry about the light, running Animoog. Animoog is, I love Animoog, it's such a cool thing. So we're going to bring those in one at a time and just give a listen to them. So the first bit you're going to hear is just the 6 Shrutis, and they're playing 2 different patches. In the microstation. The Alpha Juno. The iPad. So this is what I use for huge pads. And then we'll bring in all the internal sounds from the A90, because it's an A90EX. And then 2 last little bits are a SR16 drum machine, which is down there. And my main board, which I still haven't really learned to use very well, is a Behringer X32, which is one of the very few bits of Behringer equipment I actually use. I'm one of these guys that has a little issue with some of the way they're doing their current business. So, but this board is great, good price. This was back when they had some imagination, so I'm quite happy with it, and it's very colorful. So that's basically it.